Something unusual is unfolding inside Canadian politics right now. And while it may seem like a small parliamentary move on the surface, it could have real consequences for how the country is governed in the months ahead. In recent days, a decision by Lori Idlout has sparked debate across the political spectrum. Idlout, elected as a member of parliament under the new Democratic Party of Canada, has crossed the floor to join the governing Liberal Party of Canada, led by Prime Minister Mark Carney. For those who don't closely follow parliamentary systems, the phrase crossing the floor might sound symbolic. But in politics, it carries real weight. It means a lawmaker leaves the party under which they were elected and joins another party, while still holding their seat in parliament. In parliamentary governments like Canada's, that kind of move can shift the political balance almost overnight. And that's exactly why this development is drawing so much attention. Right now, the Liberals are very close to something every governing party wants: a majority in the national legislature. Inside the House of Commons of Canada, they hold roughly 170 seats. A majority government requires 172 seats. So the difference between full legislative control and needing support from other parties can come down to just a few votes. When a single member of parliament changes sides, it isn't just symbolic. It becomes part of a larger strategic picture. Supporters of the government have been quick to welcome Idlout's decision. Prime Minister Mark Carney said that, at what he described as an important moment in Canada's political and economic future, leaders from different perspectives may come together to shape the country's direction. He emphasized that Idlout's voice and leadership could contribute meaningfully to the government's work moving forward. Other Liberal cabinet members echoed similar sentiments. Justice Minister Sean Fraser called Idlout a friend, suggesting the move reflects shared priorities on key national issues. Meanwhile, Finance Minister François-Philippe Champagne said he was not surprised to see members of Parliament choosing to sit with the governing party. He noted that politicians often want to be at what he described as the decision table when important national choices are being made. From the government's perspective, the message is clear. They're presenting this as a sign of political momentum. In their narrative, lawmakers from different backgrounds recognize the importance of stability and cooperation. At a time when countries around the world are dealing with economic uncertainty, geopolitical tensions, and rapid technological change. But politics rarely moves in only one direction, and reactions from the opposition have been far less welcoming. Leaders within the new Democratic Party of Canada have strongly criticized the move. They argue voters elected Idlout under the NDP platform, and switching parties raises questions about political accountability. Interim leader Don Davies expressed concern that when elected officials change affiliations after an election, it can undermine what he described as the sacred trust between voters and their representatives. This touches on a debate common in parliamentary democracies worldwide. When voters choose a candidate, are they primarily supporting the individual or the party platform that candidate represents? And if an elected official later decides their priorities align more closely with another party, should they have the freedom to make that change without returning to voters for a new mandate? Supporters of floor crossing say representatives must act according to their conscience and evolving views. Critics, however, insist party affiliation is central to how voters make decisions, and switching sides midterm risks changing the outcome of an election after the fact. The controversy doesn't end there. Some critics suggest behind-the-scenes negotiations may influence these decisions. In parliamentary politics, discussions between parties and individual lawmakers are common, especially when governments are close to a majority. These talks can involve policy priorities, committee roles, or broader strategic cooperation. Opposition figures have suggested the government may be quietly encouraging additional MPs to join in order to secure a more comfortable position. Liberal leaders have not confirmed any such negotiations. They continue to frame the moment as a voluntary alignment of political goals rather than a coordinated effort to reshape Parliament. Regardless of which interpretation proves accurate, the broader context makes this situation especially interesting. Canada's parliamentary system gives majority governments significant power to pass legislation without needing votes from opposition parties. Minority governments, by contrast, often must negotiate with other political groups to move legislation forward. That can slow decision-making, but it can also encourage broader cooperation across party lines. With the Liberals just 2 seats away from a majority, every development in Parliament is being watched closely. And that brings us to another key factor: upcoming by-elections. Several parliamentary seats are expected to be contested in Toronto soon, and analysts believe the Liberals have a strong chance of winning those races. If that happens, the party could reach, or even surpass, the 172-seat threshold needed to form a majority government. If that scenario unfolds, the debate around party switching could take on a new meaning. What seems today like a single MP's decision could end up being part of a broader turning point in Canada's political landscape. For voters and observers, moments like this show how dynamic parliamentary systems can be. Elections set the stage, but political realities keep evolving long after ballots are counted. Alliances shift, priorities change, and individual lawmakers sometimes make decisions that reshape the landscape unexpectedly. At the same time, these moments remind citizens of the importance of transparency and accountability in democratic systems. When political moves affect the balance of power, it's natural to ask how and why those decisions were made. Looking ahead, the coming weeks could provide more clarity. By-elections may determine whether the Liberals secure a majority outright. Opposition parties may intensify criticism or adjust their strategies. And individual lawmakers across the spectrum will continue weighing how best to represent their constituents while navigating a rapidly evolving political environment. For Canadians watching at home, and for observers worldwide, this story is a reminder that the most consequential developments aren't always dramatic speeches or major elections. Sometimes, they're quieter decisions in Parliament that gradually shift the balance of power. And as this situation continues to unfold, the real question may not simply be why one MP changed parties, but what that decision could mean for Canadian politics in the months ahead. I'm curious how you see this moment. Do you think party switching is a normal part of parliamentary democracy? Or should elected officials seek a new mandate from voters before making such a move? Share your thoughts in the comments. Hearing different perspectives helps us better understand complex political moments. Because as Canada approaches those upcoming by-elections, the next chapter in this story may arrive sooner than many expect.